Oh, yep, we're live. Okay.
All right.
Uh, I liked it better when we had the lead in to us going live.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but my Facebook is blowing up right now.
Uh,
This is
I
oh
mean, I won't say that Green Bay was cheated out of that win because when they weren't. I mean, they when you get the three turnovers off of Tom Brady and you only get 6 points. Um, I mean, they harassed Aaron Rodgers. The difference maker, believe it or not, in that game is David Bakhtiari. I think you get David Bakhtiari on that field healthy, and you're at least able to eliminate Shaq Barrett or Jason Pierre-Paul. Maybe Rodgers has a little bit more time to throw, and maybe that game has a different outcome as far as the turnovers. But um, I'm seeing a lot of Tom Brady fans that are all over my Facebook right now, talking about goat status and all of that. And he won, that's fine. But I mean, if you look at the numbers, he played, for lack of a better term, like shit.
that was his worst playoff game in history,
Yeah,
hands
he,
down.
he played awful. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, despite being under constant duress, delivered three touchdowns to just one interception. That again was a holding call, and over 300 yards passing. And I think he was over 70% completion percentage as well. So, I mean, Rodgers again has another amazing playoff game, and the defense kind of gives up some. We did, like I said, we missed on some crucial offensive drives where we probably should have came away with points. And I just want to send a message to any Packers fans out there that are calling for Matt LaFleur's job right now because he decided to kick a field goal instead of going for it on 4th and 8. Either way, you were going to have to go for it. Whether you got the ball back after, if you could get a stop from Tom Brady, or at that point, and it was you turn the ball over and you lose. So you had to do something to stay into the game. I give Matt LaFleur all the credit in the world for having the guts to do that and put his defense back on the field and have the confidence in them. And then there's just that late missed call, and they decided to call holding, at the worst possible time.
My only issue with that holding call is that the entire game they had set the standard that they were gonna let the teams play. There were
Yeah,
more
and
obvious
that's the thing.
penalties
It's
that had happened.
Yeah, and I'm fine if you're gonna let them play, that's fine, but you need to be consistent with it. And the
Exactly.
fact that the flag came in
Yeah, I
so
mean,
late,
the play ended. I'm sitting there. I'm like, is there a flag? Is there a flag? No flag? No flag? All right, perfect. And then I jump up nice, and then there's a flag. Like, how late do you have to call it to make it obvious that you want Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl in
yeah,
Tampa Bay?
yeah. The NFL is definitely going to have some people investigating, what went on in that game. Um, I'm not going to blame it on the refs because I'm not a Saints fan. Um, NFL officiating is a joke. I mean, it's always been a joke. It's always
There
going to
need
be a joke.
we need as a fan base, as fans of the sport, we need to finally make the NFL have accountability on their officiating.
Yeah, there needs to be an overhaul of officiating in the NFL. There needs to be, if you're going to do stuff where you can't just decide, as a ref staff that, we're just going to let them play. Because, how about if, Kansas City's about to play Buffalo here in a couple hours.
It's
And,
starting right now.
oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was at 7. And if they throw 25 flags in that game, it's just not consistent. They throw 5 flags in the Packers Bucks game, but then they throw it all over the place against Kansas City and Buffalo. It just doesn't make sense. Looking forward as a Packers fan to the offseason, I see a real need at corner. Kevin King, I think, played his last game as a Packer. He was just getting cooked. Other than that, I have all the confidence in the world in that secondary.
Just cycling through comments. Go
Yeah, I
Buccaneers from
see it.
Heather. Your sweet, lovely mother said need to have an option to review all playoff games. I don't know about review the entire game,
I think she
and
meant reviewing any penalties in the playoffs.
especially when it's coming down to the wire like that. But then we have the issue with the Saints call The Saints made that a
Yeah, they
review.
made it
They
a
made the
rule,
review rule,
and
and then the NFL refused to acknowledge that they had made any mistakes
yeah,
that entire next season, and it was dropped. So if the NFL officiating crew in New York can't admit their guys on the field fucked something up,
yeah,
it's never going to change, and that's what happened in the 2019 season.
yeah. Looking forward, you're getting a Tampa Bay Super Bowl featuring the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't know how that works as far as ratings in the NFL. I don't know if it's going to be a heavily watched game.
How many people are sick of seeing Tom Brady in the Super Bowl?
Everybody is.
Everybody but
Everybody's
my
sick of
mother,
seeing Tom Brady.
apparently.
It is a testament to his greatness, his longevity. I get it. If he would have finished that game with 3 touchdowns and no interceptions or just the one, and I'd have no problem giving him all the credit in the world, but I just don't think he played particularly well in that game. Rodgers clearly outplayed him. It was just it's disappointing as a Packers fan. For sure.
This is an interesting 4 challenge flags per game. I think 2 play and 2 penalty challenge flags, 1 each half.
Yeah,
and that would probably be
flag or something.
That would be a good compromise. And the problem again with that is that the New York has to be able to admit that the refs fucked up. And if 2019 is any indication, they can't.
When you see the sportscasters and even the notorious Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, who I absolutely cannot stand when they call games, when you see them and they see something on the field and they call it a penalty, it's a penalty. Like it's clear and obvious. And they missed a lot of clear and obvious penalties, holding on Adams, Lazard. I know Devin White grabbed a hold of Devontae Adams' jersey when he was in the middle of the field. And there was probably
even so. Okay, let me stop you. Let me stop you right there. JPP and Shaquille Barrett were getting held by the Packers offensive line all game, so this does go both ways. But there were clear and obvious penalties on both Devin White, JPP, Shaquille Barrett on the pass rush. They were getting held all day by that offensive line.
Yeah.
So there were calls that weren't called on both sides. And the very first touchdown, I said it on our other show, the first show we did today, the Mike Evans touchdown, the very first thing I said is, oh, that's going to be offside. The entire half of the line jumped, and they didn't call it.
Yeah.
And then Tom Brady throws a touchdown.
That's the thing is, if we're not going to call penalties, that's fine. If we're just going to let them play, that's awesome. I'm all for it, but be consistent with it. Then don't call penalties.
Ryan says New York should be allowed to intervene and inform the refs when they messed up. And yes, I fully agree. But the thing is, New York has to admit, and this is going to be my going point for the rest of the offseason now, is New York proved in 2019 when you could challenge penalties that they can't admit that their referees are wrong. They can't admit it.
Yeah,
so if they can't admit, if New York can't admit when a referee makes a mistake, nothing's ever going to change.
Yeah, it was a poorly officiated game for sure. I hope Kansas City Buffalo's a little bit more has a better call.
It is 12:38 in the first left. By the way, the game has begun.
Oh yeah,
big 4th down conversion by Buffalo on the first drive.
Nice. I'm not even watching it right now. I'm upstairs, but yeah, that's just a hot take here. Is there now implications of this game now that either Aaron Rodgers or the Packers are looking in opposite directions of each other?
With the way it ended, I don't think that makes a lot. Like, if it was a full detrimental loss, like let's say this first half continued into the second half, and it was a full and utter detrimental loss, I would say probably, that's going to happen. But with the way the loss happened, the LaFleur and Rodgers relationship is really good. They are a good team. I just don't think it makes sense for them to part ways. But I'm going to start watching this game, and we're going to get more into this on Tuesday. So make sure you join us Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. We will be back at halftime of this game to talk about this game, not the Packers game.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys at that point. So make sure you tune in.
These guys.
See you guys.